Hi, everyone, and welcome to another broadcast for Ask Lois the Relatable Therapist. Thank you so much for tuning in. You could have been anywhere, you could have been watching any other broadcast because God knows there's so many on YouTube, but you decided to stop here and listen to me, and I'm so thankful and grateful. Today, I want to talk to you about back to school. I did a recording last week, and it's going to be up here at the end of the broadcast, and it was back to school for middle students and high school students. So today I want to talk about back to school for special ed students. And I'm a special ed teacher, been one for over 13 years. And so there are some things that as a teacher that I've noticed, and I just want to give you some of that advice to help your child to become successful in this school year. And this is not in any type of order of importance, but it is as I have seen it over the years. And so, one of the first things I want to tell you is as a parent, you set the tone for education. You are the one that set the tone for education for your students. Your students can absolutely love school or can absolutely hate school. And that's because of how you present it. And being in special education sometimes is a little more challenging because just being honest, sometimes kids at school can be cruel. They can tease kids that are in special education. And so you have, as a parent, you have to set that foundation in them and letting them know that special ed is where they are. It's not who you are. And I emphasize that because some people don't understand that. They don't understand because you're in special education doesn't mean that you're different. It just means that you do things differently, that you may need modifications and accommodations. I'm remembering when my kids were in school and they had to have tutoring. And they really didn't want to have it because they didn't want anybody else to know that they had to get tutoring for their math. So I told my kids that when they needed help, I said, it's not the issue that you need help, it's the issue that you need help and you won't get help. That's the bad part. So if you need help in a certain area, it's crazy not to get help, worried about what people are saying because you still need help in that area. So not doing it doesn't change the fact that you need help, but not doing it means that you're not going to be successful in it. So you have to be able to distinguish those two. So as a parent, you have to encourage your kids to say, hey, you need some extra help in this area. Doesn't mean any that you're less than, it just means that you need help. And we all need help. And as a parent, you can give examples of times when you needed help. So you can show your child that it's okay to need help. And I'm specifically today talking about middle school and high school because their peers are very important at this age. At this age, the peers are important. And so you have to set that foundation for them to know that there is nothing wrong with needing help. Another thing that you can do is you can absolutely go to the internet and find people that had challenges in different areas, whether it was a challenge in academics or a challenge in life. One of the people that comes to mind is Steve Harvey. He said he stuttered. He had a stuttering problem and he had to get help with that stuttering. And look at how successful he is. So you can go on the internet and find people that fit the category of what your child is struggling in, or just to encourage them that everyone needs help at some time. And that will really help your child to feel okay about where they're at because they see they're not alone. Another area I want to kind of talk to you about is that special ed teachers create the IEP, which is the individual education plan, based on what parents tell them. And if you're going into high school as a freshman for the first time, or you're in middle school, let's just say you're new and the teachers don't know you. They're only going to go off what you tell them. As a parent, you know everything about your child. You are the information piece for your child. If you leave things out, we can't put that in the IEP. Leaving things out of the IEP is like trying to bake a cake without all the ingredients. Yeah, you may get some of it right. It may taste okay, but it's not going to taste like that recipe says. And I know sometimes parents may want to not share things like about the family's personal history or what the child's going through, but that's not going to help the teacher be able to develop that IEP plan because they're doing their best and they can only do it based on what you're telling them. If the child lived with the other bio parent and now they're living with you and it's been a challenge, they need to know that because those are some of the things that are going to help them when they're creating and developing that IEP plan for them. Another thing I want to just emphasize is make sure your child know what's in their IEP or their what's in their IEP if they need accommodations or modifications, if they need to be in a quiet room, if they need a calculator, someone to read the IEP to them. Make sure they know teachers are human and they make mistakes. They may have overlooked that part in the IEP. So make sure your child knows that. Nothing is worse than the child getting a grade And then the parent saying, well, you didn't give them their modification or their accommodation. Well, it's kind of too late then because, the test is over. But make sure that the child knows what their IEP and their modifications are. Next thing I want to say, behavior management and behavior modification, it takes time. It takes time for a behavior to change. So I know sometimes parents get a little antsy and, well, why hasn't this changed? And why are we still doing this? And why is this child still exhibiting that behavior? There are key things that's going to help that child change their behavior. And those things are practice, consistency, and reinforcement. Practice, consistency, and reinforcement are going to help change that child's behavior. And you can't just do it at school. You, as a parent, have to be consistent at home. That homeschool partnership has to take place. And so, if the teacher is working on behavior modification, reinforcement, and consistency, then you have to do the same thing at home. That's the only way it's going to work. It has to be across environments, not just at school. And then when you get home, you let the child do whatever they want to do. And so that partnership, that homeschool connection has to take place in order for behavior modification and behavior management to happen. And one of the last things I want to talk about is letting parents know that your child is one of many students in this classroom. And whereas you, as a parent, you can take time and focus on your child because that's one child. But in a classroom, a teacher may have 15, 20, 25 students. So give them grace. Understand that they're there to help your child. And so don't feel like they have to just solely focus on your child. If they miss something, again, they're only human. They have all of these kids in the classroom. And that's why having that communication is important. If you feel as a parent that there's something that's being missed, you can advocate for your child. You can talk to the teacher, but in a respectful tone. You just have to remain professional, but just think about you. If somebody came and yelled and screamed at you, how would you feel? So those are some of the things I wanted to talk to you about. It's just looking at special education, going back to school, and some of the things that will help your child be successful. Here's a recording that I did on special ed that's going to help you be that awesome parent that you are. A lot of you tell me that you enjoy the recordings and we talk about it offline, but I need you to write it down below because YouTube looks at that and they'll push the algorithm. They look at the algorithm and they'll push the video out to other people. So if you know someone that needs this video, they have a child that's in special ed, go ahead and share this video with them.